Hello, and welcome to the Rollwise Podcast, your weekly show about everything that's tabletop related,
Or
maybe D
just
and D
nerdy.
related, or just
Nerdy in
nerdy.
general. Yeah.
As the show evolves over the weeks, we seem to be broadening our horizons as we meander through topics that we want to talk about.
It's a bit of a moving target.
Yeah, exactly. We don't really care. I mean, we're just here to chat, have fun, and hang
We
out.
just care about you, our listeners. So
Yeah.
hopefully you enjoy it.
So if you want to stick around, hang out, we've got a little bit of an episode where we plan on talking about some things that we didn't plan on talking about. Just when we thought we were out of the D&D game, I was brought back in with a curious email that talked about the Phandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I haven't purchased the game, so I'm not planning on doing any spoilery stuff, but just based on what I've read. And Brett is going to be eating the Reich a little bit later in the episode. And so we have tons of things to say. So are you ready for an adventure, my friends?
Yes.
Let's do this.
Might as well.
All right. So first, Phandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk. Everybody kind of remembers the Wizards Symposium, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if any one of our listeners actually watches like the marketing materials for Hasbro. I certainly stopped after a couple months ago.
You know who doesn't anymore? This guy.
I definitely stopped watching all their marketing materials. It just felt like they'd kind of poisoned the well, and rather than continue to have my cuppeth overflow of their stuff, I kind of just took a break. And that's fine. And if you like D&D, this is not to say that you can't continue to like D&D, because obviously I'm talking about Phandelver and Below. So it does hold enough interest, mostly because I think I like the Forgotten Realms so much that I'm always kind of curious what's happening around the realms, and especially since I've also been playing enough Baldur's Gate 3 to yep. And I have to tell everybody this. I was in Act 3 in Baldur's Gate 3, and my save got deleted, got corrupted. Something happened. I don't know. I was playing around with mods. It's probably my own fucking fault, but
you were just too evil.
I was too evil, and the game had to let me go. It fired me, unfortunately, and so I had to start over. And so if anybody feels my pain, please let us know in this comment down below. We're just trying to get people to comment. Say hi.
You haven't faced the real challenge, Mike, until you've got 80 hours into Final Fantasy and your kids overwrite the save.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a look to the future for Mike.
Well, because I'm going to be honest, it probably wasn't my best reaction ever to something that the boys did. Like I didn't scream and stuff, but like you could tell, like I had to leave the room.
There was a certain smolder that was happening.
Well, 80 hours is a full-time job, so
yeah.
Well, it was over several months. I mean, it was,
but still, that's a long time.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, I was pretty far into the game.
No, I get you. Well, the good news is that I have to say that saves have come a long way since that time. And so, like, 100%. The thing that sucks is, though, whatever I did, because I like to go to the Nexus mods and get like certain things like reshaders and stuff like that help the game play a little bit smoother, because sometimes as before they put out patches, there's like community fixes for certain things, and so sometimes we need to download those and remove them, that you can fuck your game, and I absolutely did. So whoops. That was my own fault. But whatever. I can see that maybe one day my child will overwrite my save.
Assuming... I hope that they don't. But
you went the completely opposite direction than I thought you were going to. I thought you were for sure going to be like, I hope that someday they do.
Yeah, I hope you feel the same pain I do. Turn that up to 11.
I feel like it's an important thing for a father to go through.
Yeah, it's the modern age. The kid destroyed my save, so they just take some rare earth magnets and destroy your hard drive.
Yeah, the whole hard drive would be worse.
Yes, that would be worse.
Not only can you not play your game, your computer's fucked.
We're talking about levels of magnitude of worse in that case.
Oh yeah.
Oh god. Yeah. Well, that's probably what's going to happen.
That reminds me. Was it a hard drive I was buying? I was buying a hard drive from an old software or hardware business that doesn't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. But I got it home and it didn't work, and I did this 3 times, and then I realized the company, like the cashier, was demagnetizing the hard drive because they were running it over the security system. And so the last time we went back, I was like, hey, can you not do that this time? And they're like, well, we have to. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's what's causing the problem. And they're like, no. Yeah, I never went there again.
Yeah. No, it couldn't be
smart
this
about it
industrial
now.
magnet that we have is
Couldn't be
screwing
this
everything
giant spinning magnet that's deleting everything.
up. Yeah.
So,
No, it's I have to that I can't wait. The nuclear option. The child is going to be like, you know what? Pay attention to me. You can't play video games anymore. And I'm going to be like, where did you get that rare earth magnet that's so large? Amazon.
Mom got it for me.
I just went on Amazon and typed in a few buttons.
Yeah.
You need better security, Dad.
I charged it to your account.
You also paid for it.
Not only did you pay for the magnets which destroyed your laptop, you get to buy a new laptop.
He's going to be like, I told you to start using passphrases, Dad. Passwords are dead.
12 characters with a special character and a number.
If I could hack this shit, anybody can.
Exactly.
This is my child at 6, obviously. But yeah, so back. Let's reel it into Phandelver.
We're not a fatherhood podcast.
No, but we could pretend to be. I don't really want to get into that space. I'm sure it's like cartels fighting or something like that. That's what's happening behind the scenes.
It's true.
So Phandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk, is the new D&D adventure that basically seeks to re-envision the kind of the introduction adventure that they had for 5th edition, the Mines of Phandelver. So I mean, the Mines of Phandelver, I think, are about 10 years old at this point. So if you have played the Mines of Phandelver, there is going to be a certain amount of like nostalgia of going back through that. They have obviously updated some of the components for the first few chapters of this, and it's my understanding from other people that have accessed the the early access digital content, because right now you can buy the full bundle. You can get a digital and physical component for $60. It's on $10 off. You get early access, and you've had it since September 5th, and you can actually get it until it releases September 19th. So if you really want to get into it right now, my understanding is you can definitely do so. But it's, they basically took Phandalin, they re-envisioned it. There's actually some launch party stuff going about this. And this is the one thing that I think is cool about things like D&D and bigger communities of role players, is that there are people chasing around a cow or whatever it is, because there's like this lost cow thing going on in the D&D Discord. What is it called? It's called Search for the Missing Cow. It's happening now. You're looking for the prize dairy cow Daisy, was last seen near Eldermath Orchard. So there's people running around in Discord talking about Daisy the missing cow. And I think that kind of stuff is really cool for D&D and other RPG type games. But to speak about Phandelver specifically, this is going to be, they're going to have the first little bit in Phandelver. My understanding is that the Below is they're going to actually take you below Phandelver into the Underdark. And then I believe I read somewhere that kind of previewed that they're actually going to take you outside of Phandelver, and you're going to get a really big pull out into the universe of D&D and everything like that. And if you look at some of the artwork that they were previewing on YouTube and stuff like that, you have more mind flayers in the artwork than I remember there being in the original adventure. So I expect that the Baldur's Gate 3 Mind Flayers Massive Empire storyline is going to be probably the arc that has a little bit of a tease somewhere in.
But the real question is, how many flaming fireball skulls do they have?
One's all you need, man.
It's true. If there's more than one, it's almost a guaranteed party wipe, is what I'm saying.
Well, could you imagine putting 2 of those suckers together? Like,
No.
they're just sitting there chatting, and all of a sudden you come up and they're like,
I can for a smarter party. It's completely dealable for, completely a situation that's, handleable by a smarter party than the party that you were dealing with.
yeah. Well, I don't think, you guys were fine. I just think that was one of those moments.
It almost killed us 3 times.
Yeah.
just
Over and
because you
over
guys
and over.
didn't find out how to actually kill it is not my fault. My point is more is the fact that it was one of those encounters that seemed relatively unbalanced given the early nature of the earlier part of the adventure that you were in. But from what early comments and stuff like that have said, is it seems like they've done a really good job in reorganizing this to make this a better introductory adventure for new DMs and stuff like that to run. And also, I think that they're really trying to capitalize, obviously, on the fervor that Baldur's Gate 3 is gonna bring to it. So people are going to be, near Baldur's Gate. They're going to be in the Tribor Trail, traveling to Phandelver. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be familiar surroundings that people. They're starting to build the lexicon from, even if all they did was play Baldur's Gate 3. So that's going to be kind of cool.
Yeah, they're going to really try and pull in the Baldur's Gate 3 crowd, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, if they're not already playing,
right? If they're not already playing D&D, they're definitely going to try to get people. Like I remember in 40K when I remember stories about when the first Dawn of War came out, like the amount of Blood Raven armies that like littered the game was insane, I guess, because that's the main army in those games.
Yeah,
and then, there were tons of them. They were everywhere.
Well, yeah, they were the cool thing at the moment, and if it helps the company, move some extra product.
And the same with Space Marine coming out. Like I'm sure Space Marine, you're going to see a lot of boys in blue.
Yeah, I'm past my boys in blue phase. I liked them in the beginning, but I was like, ooh, there's all these other cool chapters out there.
I like the Ultramarines. I don't think they deserve the hate that everybody gives them.
They're okay. I mean, I think they're just like the vanilla.
Okay. 40K people will understand.
Yeah, whatever.
They're okay.
They're okay. I mean, I played Ultramarines for a long time until I switched out. I never, I did play Space Wolves for a small amount of time, but never as much as one of your friends did. So
that's true.
All right. So key features of this adventure, reeling back in. It is they do try to hit on the classic dungeon crawl. It takes you from level 1 to 12. They give you a lot more horror to this. I've noticed as I've been reading a lot of stuff with this, they're giving a lot more like
horror.
What did you think I said? Do you think I said horrors?
He thought you said not horror.
Well, in the Lost Mines, there's a lot more horrors running around.
Well, I thought you said horror, like HOAR, like, and I was trying to figure out what that was in a like magical sense, a D&D magical sense, because that's like Hoarfrost is HOAR.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think, but then I was like, oh, that's not the word you said at all. Anyways.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, it does seem as though they're kind of embracing a lot more body horror, or at least themes that kind of beg to talk about body horror. There was just an article today that they posted on D&D Beyond that was talking about the gibbering mouther and stuff like that. And some of the new art that they had for that was nice and disgusting, which I'm sure is right up your alley, Brent. So, yeah. So, I mean, do I pick it up? I don't know. I might, just because I'm a bad person. But I also kind of am curious to see what the artwork is. I want to see how they expand it. And you never know. Maybe what I do is I take it and put it into another system. I try it in Fantasy Age or something like that and give it a go. Because the
Fabula Ultima.
I have my own comments about Fabula Ultima I'm starting to develop. As much as I like the character creation process and the idea of how you play cinematically, I don't know if we've captured the how to play cinematic combat yet. I think we as a group,
not quite,
both as players and as the game master, need to kind of figure that out a little bit more, because I don't want to kill you or make you surrender or sacrifice you. But at the same time, I think you guys have to really dive into that tool chest and get in there a little bit.
Well, this can be a whole episode later, because I mean, cinematic combat, I don't think is. I mean, if you watch cinematic combat in movies, like most of the time, the hero isn't going to die.
Well, yeah, and you guys know you're not going to die. You're going to either be captured or.
I mean, most of the time they're not even going to be captured. They're just going to beat the bad guys. So it's kind of like if you play Feng Shui with their very cinematic combat, like the difference between mooks and bosses.
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing is where cinematic combat I think comes in, but. we can do a whole episode about that.
So if you guys want to see that, let us know. But because we're starting to develop our, we're past first impressions of Fabula Ultima. The veneer is wearing off, or what is it? Like the
Sure, the veneer. I mean, it's not the new thing anymore. Yeah, but I'm still really enjoying it.
No, I am too.
Having a lot of fun.
I'm just seeing areas that could be improved mechanically to make it easier and better.
We did finally have one thing that I feel was very, very JRPG happen in the live stream game though, and that was Jeff's character hitting something with a book. The tome being his weapon, I felt was very JRPG. That felt very, very JRPG to me.
So when you guys were attacking the aggressive mozzarella with the book, boom!
Yeah, that felt very JRPG to me. Like the character jumping in the air and hitting it with a book. Yeah.
Well, except in a JRPG, like in the old school JRPG, so you would just jump in the air and swing the book where he was, and then 40 feet away where the monsters were, one of them would go, ugh!
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was picturing in my head, though. And I was kind of picturing the slimes, the aggressive mozzarella, all kind of lined up in three, that first group of three. And
they just kind of, there was a string of them.
Yeah, I was kind of picturing that in my mind. Yeah.
Well, and I'm not going to lie, maybe that's how it was set up. I didn't get too detailed with the tactical map, but if that's how your theater of the mind works, then yeah, they were lined up right in a line. Perfect.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed it.
And they winked out when they died. They went.
Yeah, they just kind of faded away.
Yeah.
It was sad music.
Not really. I mean, it was still fight music.
But yeah, MIDI fight music.
So needless to say,
definitely MIDI.
So needless to say, we're going to move on to Eat the Reich here in a moment. But if anybody plays or at least has looked through the Phandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk, let us know. Like, what were your thoughts? Did you read through it? Do you feel they did a much better job, acclimating a new DM to the running of a campaign? Was the art good? And I mean, if you're interested in the art, was the art any good? I kind of got the impression that the art looked pretty cool based on what I've seen. And the overall, did they take Phandelver and turn it into something that was a more thriving village that had more life to it than the original game? Kind of out of the box, because obviously, when you play with your crew and everything like that, you can add your own flourishes to it. But I'm just kind of curious if out of the box they did a lot better, giving the town of Phandelver a lot of life, and then of course, how did it lead to the other stuff? Let us know your thoughts. Throw it in the comments. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you hate Hasbro? Do you hate D&D WotC? Who cares?
I was trying to avoid shitting on Hasbro. What I was going to say though is one good thing about Hasbro is they do have a budget to spend it on art, so a lot of their art is pretty cool. So if you get it for that reason alone, that's usually worth it. So not that I think you should give anybody should give Hasbro any money, but there's my one plug for.
But if you want to play D&D and you're not an experienced DM, GM, however you want to go approach that, I think it's good that the product is built for new players and new GMs. Like. I think that's something like the market doesn't need to be flooded with that kind of stuff, but we need more GMs.
Yeah,
we need more GMs.
Yeah, it's definitely, as I will always say, as much as I shit on Hasbro, if you love D&D, love D&D. It's better that you're gaming than not. They have some policies that I disagree with, but there's still a good game. It's still a fun game. And honestly, D&D is still a good gateway game for everybody to get into. So, if you want to buy Phandelver, you should definitely buy Phandelver. Before we get into Brent's,
but none of us but Mike might buy it.
Brent's advertising for other people corner.
Yeah. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and give the hot potato to Brett, and he's gonna tell us about Eating the Reich, as well as some other things that are coming our way. So Brett, what do you got for us?
So yes, some smaller games. And games that I'm excited about. What is it? Rowan, Rook, and Deckard funded their Kickstarter for Eat the Reich, which is their vampires invading 1942 Paris and fighting Nazis game. which I was very excited about. They funded in like 34 minutes, and they blew the doors off of their goal with almost 10,000 people backing the project. So that'll be pretty cool. It's funded. I think the last update said that they're hoping to get it in print production soon. So hopefully we'll get it sooner rather than later, which would be very cool. There is if anybody want to hear the game played, it's still in its early phases, but there is a Twitch channel called Blackwater D&D that did partner with Rowan and Deckard to do a live play of it. It took place on Wednesday, and they have it up on their videos to watch. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to, because I'm pretty curious about the game. The other thing, one of the other stretch goals that they did make, because they made so much money, is the Havoc engine, which is what they said they made. That's what they're calling the system that Eat the Reich is going to be using. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a little expansion on how to actually just a rules set put out of the Havoc engine, not just the game. Because Eat the Reich is pretty much focused on the characters that they provided, the 6 vampires or whatever that are in the game. And it's like, hey, just run the game with these 6 vampires, and this is kind of the game. So they'll have different missions and stuff, and then you can make up your own. But they're actually going to put out a source book for their actual engine now that it's based on. So it'll be interesting to see the rule set in addition to the game and setting. Yeah. The other one that's going to happen soon, another game I'm very, very excited about, is Modifius is putting out, it's called Cohors Cthulhu, which is a Roman Cthulhu game using their cinematic 2D20 system, or 2D20 system, I think it's called, which is going to be, is it Modifius or Free League? Might be
Modifius.
Yeah, Modifius. There's some crossover with those two companies, so sometimes I get them confused. But I feel like this is going to carry on with the kind of legacy of their Conan game. I feel like this is going to fill their niche because they lost the Conan property to another company. So I think this is going to fill their niche for that. I think it's pretty similar rule set. So I'm excited about that. That is going to be coming to Kickstarter, I think October 3rd, they said. You can check that out. And then they have a bunch of marketing stuff up. If you look it up, you can find a bunch of information.
Now, out of curiosity, so Cohors Cthulhu, I did see that there is a RPG quick start guide.
Yep,
have you had a chance to look at that? And
I've looked through it a little. I haven't read the adventure yet. I am gonna. It's on my list to hopefully read while I have some time off, and then run it at some point. With their pre-gen characters and stuff like that. So yeah, I want to give it a shot. The 2D20 system, the Conan cinematic combat Cohors Cthulhu system is interesting because it's like rides that line of difficulty. Like it's kind of crunchy, but not super crunchy. So I'll have to review the rules a couple times. Other projects that I'm excited about, Night Clerk Radio, e-zine by Ross Payton. He's funding that on BackerKit. He's kind of focusing on system agnostic horror adventures. That's something that people can look up. He's a content creator that I really like. RPPR Radio and stuff like that. And he runs games. I suggest backing that project just because it's always good to support artists you like. And system agnostic stuff is kind of hard to get people to buy because it doesn't have the name brand on it. So,
and sometimes, and I think sometimes with the system agnostic, the main reason I have trouble with it is that I have to then do the work to kind of put it into this system, and so I think
you have to stat out monsters and stuff like that. It's just basically story ideas. It's true.
Yeah. And so I mean, I'm not going to say that's hard work, but it depends on the type of stuff that they're doing. You may find there can be some mechanical challenges to bring at the end of the way. But the good news is that honestly, if you like the intent of it, you can really fudge that stuff so that it's still fun and have a good time with it. I would say that don't let something that doesn't have a system, or if it's system agnostic, don't let it hold you back if you really like it.
Well, not just that, but if you're a GM who's at all creative, it's always good to look at those things for just generating ideas that you can even put in an existing campaign or an existing one shot or an existing adventure that you're reading from something else. There might be a D&D adventure where you're oh, this monster or whatever would fit perfect in this.
Yeah,
I think that's always good for those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, it seems like he's got some pretty solid stuff out there. I did listen to that episode you sent to me, and it sounded like they were pretty knowledgeable about the horror genre and their tangential approach to it.
Yeah, it was Ross and
the guy from the Orpheus Protocol.
Yeah, the Orpheus Protocol, which I should be getting that book sometime soon this year, I think. Hopefully. Yeah. That book will be up for sale for other people probably before I get my Kickstarter version.
No, that never happens.
That'd be hilarious. That would be kind of hilarious.
I think he said on the podcast we're talking about that it'll be up for print for PDF sale soon.
Yeah. Did you forget?
Although I do
PDF is a little different.
I do have the PDFs. I do have the PDF of the game, so I take that back. I do have a copy of the game technically, but I prefer physical copies.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I guess I would say is that, if anybody has any interest in any of these games and they want to see us play it on Mondays, we are live streaming on Mondays around 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. I would like to say, is that how clocks work? Is that about the time that we typically start? Is 8:30, barring any what are those things called? The technical gremlins that fling themselves into our gears,
or tangential conversation.
We tend to be friendly before and after the podcast, and sometimes we lose track of time. So if we happen to be talking about something and then it's an hour later, we apologize.
It is a fun time though, so I suggest anybody that wants to tune in, please tune in. It is on YouTube, not Twitch. So if you're a fan, if you're subscribed here or know somebody wants to subscribe here, they can watch us live on Mondays. Currently we're still playing Fabula Ultima, but
yeah, we're going to play that for a small little bit. We might we might parse it out into chapters and stuff and play other items as we feel the need to. But it is a time for us to play games, try them out. And if you guys want to join in, we'd love to have you. So Eat the Reich, Co-Horse Cthulhu. Go ahead. Sorry.
I said chime in. Tell us what rules we're getting wrong.
I had a comment about Eat the Reich. I wasn't looking for it the other day. Came across the trailer. The trailer's really good.
It is really good.
The trailer's really good. If you have any interest at all in the game, hunt down the trailer, watch it, then check out the Kickstarter. I'm sure they're going to have some sort of backer kit, kind of thing. Like you can still get it. So if it's your kind of thing,
the trailer's amazing. Like I said,
really good.
The tagline got me interested, and then the trailer was like, "Oh no, I have to give them my money."
Take my money. Yeah, I did not back it. We're relying on Brent to pick that one up.
That's okay. You're still giving Hasbro money, so you can't give other games money.
Yeah. You can only give it to Hasbro. Like that's in the contract. Every time you buy from them.
That was my jab for the first time.
I was about to say, like, that came out of nowhere. Brent's getting a little frisky, it seems.
Shots fired.
Jerk. Just for that, I'm going to buy it right now on stream. Take that. Yeah, I'm going to have Monday's stream is going to be me buying Phandelver and saying,
just buying D&D books and flipping Brent off.
I'll show you Fabula Ultima. F you this. So probably not. I am not made of money, and I feel like the hobby of role playing, you have to be a little judicious with your purchases, or else there is a very quick, very easy likelihood that books are just going to sit on your cabinet shelf or whatever.
But they look so nice.
I mean, I still have the Hero 6th edition books that I bought with the intent of playing. And then I think I got like one person slightly interested in, and nobody else in the group was interested because I think they saw the books and they were like, "The fuck? No."
Are those as big as I remember?
Yeah. Well, like if you were to put them next to my head, like that would be like, I think they were, ear to chin.
They look like dictionary, like old school dictionaries.
Yeah.
Sorry for anybody under the age of 40.
It's like the encyclopedia for the letter Q.
Like what?
Yeah, books.
I could probably point out what books I've played, what ones I've played. This corner over here, I've played most of these. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not zooming in on you, Brent, just so everybody knows. Like,
No, that's
they'll
fine.
they'll have to squint really.
That is Unknown Armies and Over the Edge books, and yeah, that's it. That's all that's up there.
Yeah. So I can't say that I'm necessarily I don't think the Havoc engine by itself I have know enough about to be really excited about for Eat the Reich, but I am really excited for you to run the Eat the Reich game.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The Havoc engine, we'll see. It's another cinematic combat game. That's what they're advertising it at, which is usually just means low, like low,
rules light.
Rules light. Yeah, it's that sort of buzzword.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of buzzwords, of course, when they talk about it, like rules light, cinematic violence, blah blah blah. Which is kind of cool. One of the things that I did think was cool is if you go to the Kickstarter, they do have examples of like the character sheets, and like there's 6 damage levels, and the first one is like tousled hair, and the second one is like ripped clothing, and then it's like an injury, and then it's like your hands missing.
Pretty pulpy.
So yeah, it's very pulpy, and that's kind of one of the things that I'm excited about. Because in my gaming career, I've decided that like narrative games seem to be what I enjoy a little bit more than crunchy games. So
yeah. Well, then I'm glad we stepped away from Lancer, because that felt like it was going to be a higher crunch. I could be wrong, but it felt higher crunch.
No, I think it's advertised as a very tactical.
Proudly, I think. Sorry.
Yeah, very, very crunchy in that regard. But that's okay. I mean, I still think that there's crunch that has a place, like the Pathfinder game. I'm actually curious. I might change over the Pathfinder game that we were playing and actually put it in like Fantasy Age, Green Ronin's Fantasy Age game, because I do want to try that system out. I just don't know if because once we get done with the Fabulous Ultimate game for that, or at least play through some until we get to a pausing point, we'll go back to the Pathfinder stuff, because I've already got some ideas as to what you guys are going to be running into in that, which is going to be fun.
I always say system support game type, so if you're going to switch, be ready for it to go wrong potentially. We switched a game mid. We were playing Earth Dawn. Somebody was running one, and he switched it midway, and he switched over to like a feng shui conversion, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel the same.
That's fair.
So
yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'll read the rules, and if I ultimately don't feel like it fits well enough, we'll continue with the Pathfinder stuff. I think you guys enjoy your characters enough in the Pathfinder game that either way is fine. And I don't want you guys to have to necessarily do a lot of heavy lifting. So, but
you run fun games, so I have high hopes for anything. So
yeah, we'll see. High fantasy games. Apparently, I've been in the epic fantasy form lately. We kind of got away from the investigation games, and it's just like, and now we're gonna do epic fantasy.
I always come back to fantasy games, and I think about them, and I just don't think I'm very good at running them. It's really when it comes down to. I'm just like, ugh. I say the F word too much to feel like I'm good at running fantasy games.
I think they swore in fantasy. I think in the fantasy one.
I think they have different sorts of. They say things like "by the gods" and shit like that. And
well, I mean, I
like the F word a lot. So you know.
Well, I mean, don't let your lexicon hold you back, though, is all I'm saying. Because it's not like we're going in there and I'm coming dressed as a wizard to the table and I'm like, okay, everybody, let's get into our characters.
I know what Mondays need to look like now.
Sure. If you want to come up dressed as a wizard or some other
really, like my character, really all I would need is a black mask for my current character that I'm playing on Mondays.
Get that. I mean, we have some friends that can 3D print you something, maybe. You know, so you just see coming to the thing, and it's all like, oh.
You can't hear me at all, but I'm ready. I'm ready to play, guys.
Yeah, but you got to have a toga on then too, over the rest of the uniform.
But it's a black toga, so you probably really couldn't tell.
Yeah, we don't have enough lighting in Brett's.
I think it would be much more entertaining that no one would understand what I'm saying ever. That's what it's like talking to my character in our Fabulous Ultimate game.
That's funny. Yeah, it's like, oh, we're 5 feet away from him. They just call him Mumbles because nobody can fucking understand him.
Well, you're a whole culture of people that no one can understand.
Well, we talk through spore releases, man. I don't know what this mouse shit is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, that's good. Well, so that's the news as far as we're concerned.
Those are things we're
Um,
excited about.
it may not be the most timely news. I think Phandelver's fairly recent, so we may be catching the tail end of something relevant for that. Instead of always talking to be like, hey, the coolest new game that you can play, Dungeons and Dragons Advanced Second Edition.
Well, once again, I will go ahead and out on a limb and say this: we aren't a news podcast, so a lot of the stuff that we say might be a little outdated.
It might be outdated, but just so you know, September 15th, 2023, we talked about Phandelver and other shit.
How about that Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, guys?
Yeah, let's do it. I think I saw something. It was I was running around on one of the OSR subreddits and stuff like that, and somebody was just like, "I just played AD&D for the first time, and it was magnificent." And I was like,
What was that Thaco?
"What?"
I bet they didn't use it. I bet they took like anybody with like any brains takes that out. Like they played AD&D without that.
But what would you replace? I don't even care.
You just flip it. You just flip
it.
You just flip it the other way. Like it's the same thing. You just don't use negative fucking numbers. Like what fucking genius thought that was a good idea?
A wargamer, an old school
it's
wargamer.
It's true.
Yeah, but I mean, see, people are still discovering some of those old games and falling in love with them for what they were. That's pretty cool.
Just because they're old doesn't mean they're not good.
Well, yeah, and here's something weird that happens in role-playing games and war games and everything is like people think as soon as like a product's not supported, like that game's fucking dead and we can't play it anymore. And it's like, no, you can. Like they're still out there. You can get the information. You can use them. Yeah. That's like one of the things that I still want to try this someday is there's an adventure that was from basic Dungeons and Dragons where the adventurers go and they explore a spaceship. Mm-hmm. And I still want to play that in Troika someday. Like, because I really feel like that's a Troika style adventure where like, because it's a literal spaceship with like robots and like access cards, like Doom style access cards.
Yeah,
and like,
but you're obviously fantasy.
Yeah, you're
characters.
You're like an elf ranger and a dwarf fighter fighting robots. Like, and so it's a really weird adventure for that old school D&D, I think. And I think that weird feeling would be great for like a Troika game.
Yeah,
but then I read the book, and like those old basic D&D modules were fucking dense. it's only like 50 pages, but it's like 50 pages of like get out a fucking magnifying glass and read that shit. And there's no pictures. It's just blocks of text.
Yeah. Well, because if I remember correctly, I think I haven't read the adventure you're talking about, but at least in that style, like it was like in the first few pages, usually you just had like one or two columns that you had to deal with. But then later, because I wanted to make sure so much information was on each page, it felt like there were just tracks of text. And it was like,
yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot of. It was a different time. It was a different time where they presented every single idea to you.
Yeah, but no, I enjoy reading those old books because I think that they gave you some good ideas and they had some inspirational thoughts as to how it should be played. Now, I do admit that Gygax, though, I think the one thing that I'm starting to realize, as I'm looking at other stuff, is that Gygax very much wanted you to play the game his way. Oh, yeah. Like it was just like, this is how you need to play this game, so I'm giving you advice on how to play it the way it's supposed to be played.
I think that's what you find in a lot of the early games are very railroady. Like they're very much if you're playing D&D, this is what you're playing. And I think that's one of the reasons. I think that's one of the hard parts about that, especially that early stuff, is like you said, it's very railroady. Well, like in that particular adventure that I'm talking about, like the key card thing is super railroady. It's like you can't do anything without the blue key card. You're just stuck. And there's some, I don't know, insane riddle puzzle that you have to figure out. You have to logic through with your brain. to figure out.
What's in my pocket? Oh shit.
What is the velocity of a airborne swallow?
African or European? It doesn't say. Oh shit.
Damn it.
Missing key information here. Well, no, I think that'd be good. You see, and the problem is that anybody that's listening to this point will probably recognize that we have too many games that we want to play and not enough time to play them. So don't feel for us, because we've obviously had a rich and fun life of playing games, but we're greedy bastards and we want to do more.
Well, I think one thing that we can do to rectify that a little bit is when we get to a spot in the Fabulous Ultimate game, maybe we'll rotate games a little bit more frequently, do one shots or two shots where we do 2 or 3 sessions with a game and then move on to another game. We can get some of those, we can get some reps in on those games.
Well, we'll try. It's a lot to learn, but I'm willing to learn. I mean, I've obviously been, even though I've already admitted that reading through and like learning rule books, I feel like as a DM I should be more interested in that.
Nah, we're all storytellers. We're not necessarily rules people. So, it's always nice to have one rules person at a table who can be like, no, that's not how you want to do that. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, because I definitely say when we hear rules light, we're like, oh, well, tell me more.
Yeah, I consider a loose understanding of the rules important, or a loose understanding of the rules is really all you need, because you're going to throw out the rules that you want to ignore anyways. There's a podcast I listened to recently with Ross Payton and Caleb Stokes, who wrote Red Markets and stuff like that. And he said, like, one of the things about doing system agnostic adventures is everyone throws out the rules that they don't want anyways. Like, so you're really just trying to have an engaging story. And he's like, so really, these should be more popular than other ones, but they're not, because they don't, like, people are like, well, I want a D&D adventure, and that's what they look for. So, but he's right. Like, how many house rules get thrown out that you never use?
Enough.
Like one of the ones that I always talk about in D&D is drinking a potion. Everyone does it as a free action. It's not. You're supposed
action,
to,
right?
Well, no, it's an action. You're supposed to use up one of your actions to drink a potion.
I just remember reading about hit points and being like, what are these supposed to be again?
Yeah. Well, that too. Like, yeah, exactly.
Hit points are fucked up. But
it's an abstraction, sir.
Whatever. I'm extract and awesome.
You are an abstraction, sir. That's for sure.
All right. Well, do you guys have anything else, or do we call this a shorter episode for the week, and then we wish everybody a good weekend?
I think that's where we're at.
I think that's where we're good.
Okay. Well, then, Jeff, do you want to tell people how they can get a hold of us should they want to reach out?
Yeah, you can find us on the socials at Rollwise on Facebook, YouTube, Threads, and X. God, that's the dumbest name ever, and I'm never going to stop saying that. And if you'd like to email us, it is rollwiseguys@gmail.com.
You could start referring to it as the artist formerly known as Twitter.
I saw a written article this week where it was X, formerly Twitter, and I'm like, it's so dumb.
I don't know how many people will get that joke anymore, because again, I'm old, but you know, it's fine.
Prince joke, I got it.
Prince joke. Well, yeah, everybody in this context will get it.
Who's Prince?
Who's Prince?
There's your obligatory who's Prince.
As always, everybody. Moving along quite rapidly. As always, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully you made it this far. If you did, thank you again. And as always, roll well and roll wise and be safe out there. Thank you, everybody.
See ya.